June, your phone muted?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay.
Well, good afternoon, everyone. Hello, Facebook family. Hello, YouTube family. Hello, Bella Biz family. Thank you for joining Bella Biz this evening. I count it all on joy, and I wouldn't count it on robbery that you could be anywhere you want tonight, but you chose to be with us. Thank you for joining us tonight. And I also want to thank the Matthews Broadcast Network for sponsoring this segment. Matthews Broadcast Network is a international worldwide networking business organization. They have sponsored Bella Biz Unplugged tonight as they have last night, and we appreciate that. Please, for those who are following Bella Biz, please continue to follow me because I got something special. March the 2nd, Bella Biz is breaking off. She's doing an additional segment for the Matthews Broadcast Network. More details to come. All right, family, let's get into it tonight. I have a special guest tonight. For those who follow Bella Biz, you should know what the topic is. I can't hear y'all. What's the topic tonight? All right. The topic tonight is women of color and breast cancer. I'm going to go right into the guest that we have tonight. We have tonight June Worship Haygood. June is a healthcare science teacher and an HOSA advisor at the Renaissance Middle School in Fairburn, Georgia. She has a broad background in the healthcare field with specific training and expertise in pharmacy and outreach community. June has overseen so many things. I am not going to steal her thunder, but she also has her own technical based company called Applications Operations LLC, which she will definitely talk about. So without further ado, let's get right into it on this very serious topic tonight as we continue to celebrate Black History Month. It is not just February, it is 365 days of the year. So family, help me welcome, raise those hands for June Haygood. How you doing, June?
Hey, Linda. How are you? I'm great. I'm great. You,
You look absolutely fabulous, darling.
thank you. Thank you. I tell my students every day, they say, Miss Haygood, are you okay? Are you having a bad day? I'm like, I am a cancer survivor, two-time cancer survivor. So Miss Haygood never has a bad day.
I love it. So, June, I'm going to get right into it because Bella Biz has a lot of followers. And what we normally do is I'll usually read a long bio. But I said, nope, not tonight. I read some highlights. So, help us and paint a story and tell us about who June Haygood is as it relates to the story and the topic tonight.
Okay, I am a healthcare worker. I've been in healthcare 25 years. And I hold various certifications in pharmacy technology, respiratory therapist, patient care tech. But I spent most of my years as a pharmacy technician. But while working as a pharmacy technician, I was also going to school at night to get my bachelor's degree, along with my respiratory degree and two master's degrees. So I did that in 14 years, and in between was diagnosed with cancer twice.
Wow.
I tell my students, you can do anything, you put your mind to it.
Absolutely. So, June, I'm always in the business of educating people. And so people are seeing your June Haygood with your acronyms, and I want you to break it down. So, we have CPHT, we have
Yes.
MPH, and we have MBA. Please explain that to the audience what those mean.
Okay. Well, there are only some of my credentials, but CPHT means Certified Pharmacy Technician. Okay. And MPH means Masters in Public Health, and MBA, Masters in Business Administration, with a concentration in Healthcare Administration.
Great. So, tell us a little bit about your journey, June.
Well, I was diagnosed at 42 years of age. I went for my mammogram. I think I skipped maybe a year. And my mother had sense. She says, June, did you go for your checkup? Your pap smear, your mammogram? I'm like, well, no, Mom, I was busy. She said, no, stop and go. So I went ahead and made the appointment, went in just a routine appointment, and was diagnosed with having a stage 0, which is ductal, and was called ductal carcinoma in situ, DCIS. And the way the radiologist told me, she says, do you want the good news or the bad news? And then when she said that, I just froze.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I don't know what. She said, well, I'm going to tell you the bad news. You have breast cancer, but you will not die from this breast cancer.
Mm-hmm.
So I said, okay, what do we need to do next? And at the same time, I was like, oh my God, I said, God, I have kids. I can't have breast cancer. I have kids, I have a husband. So came home and told my husband, and he was like, well, you know what? If God knew who to give breast cancer to, it would be you. Because I feel that you're going to turn this around and you're going to tell others, go through this journey and live your testimony by helping others. So that was the first thing he said. And ever since then, it's been 14 years now, that's what I've been doing.
Wow, let's just breathe and take that in, right? Let's just
Right.
take that in, because I know what's dear to my heart. What the audience doesn't know about Bella is my mother, as you well know, June, passed
Mm-hmm.
away from breast cancer in 1998. That's honestly when I started my Bella Biz journey, and it wasn't a pleasant sight. She was fourth stage, and so the
Okay.
doctors gave her 6 months, and absolutely it was 6 months, and so I know a lot
Right.
of changes have happened from 1998 to 2000, right? And we're in
Yes.
2021 now. So as we go into this journey with our audience, I know it's a sensitive subject. I know everyone just about has known someone that has been touched by this, what I call the big C disease. But we have to be on the positive note that we know that it's preventable. So June, let's talk about that a little bit more. Let's dive into it. When you were diagnosed, right,
Yes.
immediately
Mhm.
with breast cancer, what were the first steps that you did?
Well, I had a great team of doctors. I love my OBGYN. All my doctors are at Northside Hospital, and they actually have a breast cancer center there. And the next day, she had me in the doctor's office. So they helped me through the journey. But the most important thing that I did, I wanted to be an advocate for my own health. And I've always been a person that if you tell me something, I'm going to believe 50% of what you tell me, but the other 50% I'm going to find out for myself. So I went ahead and I called the American Cancer Society. And I talked to women who had the same stage breast cancer that I had and the same type of breast cancer that I had. So through interviewing those ladies, I was able to come up with an educated decision that I was comfortable with of doing. And that decision was totally different from what my doctor wanted me to do. I had breast cancer in my left breast, and she told me that I had to have a radical mastectomy with, but I could have reconstruction and a tummy tuck at the same time. So when she told me that, I stopped crying on the dime because I'm like, for real? So through talking to the other ladies, and even before I went to the plastic surgeon, they told me, I wish that I was in your position. because I talked to 5 women. Each young lady, went ahead and told me that they wished that they would have had the other breast removed because the cancer came back 2 years, 3 years, almost, well, up to 20 years later in one of the ladies in the other breast. So with that information, I said, I'm going to have a double mastectomy with reconstruction because I want to be done with it, because it took so much out of me to go ahead and tell people that I had breast cancer, people around me, because it was to see them, I'm like, oh my God, I'm fine, I'm gonna live. But I actually only could tell about 2 to 3 people a day because their emotion was just killing me. So to see that, I'm like, no, I'm just going to go ahead and have it once and for all. And then I could go ahead and recover better because I know that it's over and done with. So with that decision, I went ahead and went to my doctor, called my doctor back, went in to see her. She's like, well, what? She said, I can't believe this. She said, the surgery is going to be double now the time, and you don't have cancer in your other breast. Why are you doing this? I said, because through my research, and I'm being an advocate for myself, I know what I can put up with and what I can't put up with. And in order for me to heal totally, mentally and physically, this is the decision that I came up with. So she said, okay. She ripped up the papers and she had to start a whole set of new papers over again regarding it's because it was a different procedure. Instead of a single mastectomy, it was a double mastectomy. So instead of 4 hours in surgery, it was 8 hours in surgery. So she said after the surgery, which I was blessed to have all that done at one time, because a lot of women have to wait sometimes to have the reconstruction or go through chemo. But because I had the preventative testing and of mammograms, I could have had that done all at one time, and I didn't have to have chemo or radiation, which is really kind of unheard of. And I've been breast cancer free for 14 years because the only type of breast cancer I can have is on the skin itself. So, that was my journey. And I went ahead and went through it so quickly and fast because I had the surgery done on January the 8th of 2007. And I was back to Grady working my 12-hour shifts on February 27th. So I had no complications, no problems. And, that's what I tell women. If you find out early, even though it was a radical decision of me actually having both my breasts removed, I was still able to have reconstruction at the same time, but I didn't have to have chemo or radiation.
That as I listen, and I listen with the inner ear, it's very phenomenal. And what I'm hearing, June, is one, we have to take our own health into our own hands.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
More importantly, I know personally, we tend to give our empowerment to the doctors.
Right.
But to me, in this day and age, you have to really empower yourself, be that advocate, do your own research just to verify.
Exactly.
Let me ask you this: where did the support help group? Because I know everywhere there's tons and tons of information today in 2021. There's tons and tons of support groups.
Mm-hmm.
How important was that in your journey?
Well, what helped was I was in the medical field. What helped and what hurt, I was in the medical field because I did my research. I went into the breast surgeon and said, okay, look, I saw the breast cancer on the film. I know I can have a lumpectomy, this and that. And she's like, well, no, you can't, June, because of this. So, when you know too much, a little, it hurts. It hurts you. But knowing where to go. I was fortunate by being in the healthcare field because I knew where to go, where to navigate. And that word navigate, that is just so important, just not in breast cancer, but in health, because we have such a very difficult healthcare system here in the United States. So, to navigate yourself through the healthcare system, and then when you have a disease such as cancer, you're going to have to find out, well, look, I have chemo this day, but yet I have to pick up my child at 3. So that's when I got interested in being a patient navigator. And I did that for a few years. Patient navigators are like liaison people between the patient and the doctor. So we try to go ahead and break down those barriers that they may have for that comes into play regarding their treatment and getting well. So, and I'm still like that, it's hard to get away from because this is my journey. This was a part of my journey. And I know a lot of people try to forget that they had cancer, but that's them. But with me, the more that I talk about it, I'm finding that I'm a blessing of information on how I can help someone else. Because when you hold information in, you're holding also your feelings in. And you're not able to express what you went through. So it's a healing process. It's twofold for you, the person that have underwent the cancer, and for you giving the information to the individual.
And June, the purpose that this particular segment is dear to my heart, again, because I shared my mother passed away of breast cancer. She didn't have a fighting chance, right? I want to dispel some myths because just you and I know we've been in business and we've been friends for many, many years. We've supported each other. I've came to a lot of your
Mhm.
events. And let's dispel this myth. At least let's start tonight. People still refer to it as the big C. They don't want to refer, or they don't want to speak the name of it. And I
Right.
don't know what the stats are. Maybe you can share that. But I know there's hundreds of thousands of women across this country that have breast cancer because I've studied it when I was a
Mhm.
consultant for the CDC. So I was
Right.
heavily involved then. But my point is this: I discovered there is a difference with your ethnicity background, women of color versus non-women of color. Can you speak a little bit on that in terms of uh, breast cancer and how it relates to the different ethnicity of it?
Well, from my speaking engagements, because then after the breast cancer and being a patient navigator, then I was affiliated with the Susan G. Komen Speakers Bureau, and going to the different colleges, Clark Atlanta, and Spelman. When I went to one of the speaking engagements there, a young lady stood up and she says, well, Miss June, I don't mean any harm, but you said that what's good about you going to get your preventative testing, because they found cancer and you still had to have a double mastectomy. And I said, well, the good thing about it is if you catch it early, you won't have to go through the radiation and the chemo, because that's very harsh on your body. So I said, so even though I went ahead and lost my breast, I'm still able to, I don't have any bone disease. I don't have any side effects from treatment. So it is a win-win situation. And she was like, well, I'd rather not even know. That's the first thing. I'd rather not know if I have cancer or not. And I think, in our race of being the Black woman, we try to please so much, and especially our men with our bodies. A lot of women are, vain, how we are, oh, girl, I got this dress and low cut and I'm wearing this and they can't even imagine. Because when I tell people that I've had a double mastectomy, like, what? Well, you have something sitting up there. I'm like, yes. I said, because I had reconstruction. I was able to have it all at the same time. So I woke up with breast. But if I would have waited, it would have been more detrimental, where maybe I could, would have woken up with breast and then had to wait and go through treatment and then get reconstruction done after it. So there's just so many variables. It's so many different types of breast cancer. It depends on the stage, what type. So, it's really hard, hard to say. And when we go as, especially women of color, we have so many barriers. Not, no insurance. We take care of everything and everybody, and we think of ourselves last. So, and just, constantly pleasing. And you get on that cycle of life. I tell everybody, when I got cancer, it was just like everybody's on the merry-go-round. You're like, oh, hi, how you doing? You're standing there watching the merry-go-round go around. That's life. And you're standing there like, oh, I got this cancer, but I want to get back on. I want to get back on the merry-go-round. I want to get back on the wheel of life. A lot of people don't want to take the time to jump off the merry-go-round, to take care, especially women, to take care of themselves. So that's what we have to do. And that's what I found, my findings in actually talking to women was, not enough time to take care of themselves, self-care, no insurance, and just not resources. And the resources are all around them. There's free mammograms. You don't even have to have insurance. And I've worked volunteered for the YWCA. They give out free mammograms, vouchers and that. So, we have to be a little more diligent in I would say, our people of color community regarding that, and just not October.
June, I found that to be interesting because during my years, and you do recall when I worked at the CDC, I actually worked in the cancer division for maybe 2 years. So I
Uh-huh.
was really doing a lot of research and studying for the epidemiologists and the different doctors. And let me ask you this. They made a lot of, to me, it was harsh statements and facts, but that's when I realized, to your point, women of color, it's just a lot of barriers that we just have to overcome. And therefore, the data at the point in time is not always accurate
Mm-hmm.
because we don't like to go to the doctors.
No,
We don't like to do clinical studies.
no.
And unfortunately, the number one proponent that we do, which I would love to dispel that myth, is we don't want to know about it. We shut down.
Yep.
And that to me is the biggest barrier of it all because it's not going to go away. So,
No.
my question to you is how can we ask our family members about their medical history, since it's such the big taboo in our family, because it's important for us to know our family history in order for us to, get treatment and understand. How would we handle that? Because I know I found that in my own family from the
Mm-hmm.
older generation. They don't want to talk about things, whether it's
No,
breast cancer or whatever. And it's important to
yeah,
know your history.
it is. Well, I would say, every year how families have family reunions. And I said we were going to have I think we're coming up to have a family reunion in my hometown in Somerville, New Jersey. Hi, guys. The Dorsey family and the Campbells. So, in our family, we have a strong line of cancer along with renal failure. And a lot of my relatives, they're not putting two and two together. And really, in the Black community, you have to remember, Black people are very proud people, and we really don't like to, when we talk about our health, if something's wrong, it's like, ooh, she's got that. It could be high blood pressure, but they don't like to talk. And it's a bad thing, because it's information that can be generational, a generational curse that you can stop. So I would say have small talks with family members, try to find out as much as you can, and document and write down the information. If you have a family Bible, and we have a family Bible, and I'm writing different things down, what family members have. And then a lot of times you won't even know. You'll just know, oh, well, grandma she had a lump right here up under her arm. And then she went in the hospital and she got sick and she died. Well, she had breast cancer, and sometimes you may have to go ahead and just do the drastic measure and pull public record of the death certificate. And that's nothing that's bad. That's just information that you need to know in order for your family to survive, and what they need to look out for when we go to the doctors. You have that long sheet of paper. Has your grandmother had cancer, thyroid, all the way down? And a lot of us don't even know. Because I found out after I had breast cancer that my grandfather's nieces had breast cancer also. And my grandfather had prostate, his father had prostate cancer. Yeah. So, and it's so funny because my grandfather's two children, which is my mom, and then his son, each of his two children, one of his two children's, well, both of his two children had cancer. So out of the four grandchildren, two grandchildren had cancer. That was me and the youngest one. And we both survived. But that's what I would say. You have to have the small talks with your family members, document, and at family reunions, I would say start at family reunions. Have like a little, a medical table, if you have information on, well, if you have food over here, then you have information of, this one and that one. And then also you can have a health table to say, okay, well, in this family, this is what we have to look for: cancer, renal failure. So, and I thought of that a couple years ago when I missed my family reunion. I said, we need to actually get together. And that's something that could be brought up and probably labeled or patented at the Black family reunion.
June, I just had an aha moment. And can I say publicly thank you for that? Because I'm going to incorporate that. I would have never thought to do that. And
Hmm.
so thank you for that opportunity. And I hope the listening audience heard that. I'm going to adopt that because it's very, very important. I know a lot of my family has moved on. And so it's very little of what I like to call my ancestry family, my family members who are 75 and older. And so they're
Right,
very sensitive. And, I thought of just recording. Some of them don't like it, but I want to record them so they can
right,
tell this history and it's accurate, which is very, very important. But thank you for that information. So what I'm hearing, audience, is we've got to be empowered to empower ourselves, whether it's breast cancer, which we're talking about tonight very openly, or
mhm,
any disease. We have got to face the reality of first acknowledgement of what it is, and start to number two, more importantly, June, if I'm hearing you correctly, seek the information. I know there's a lot of medical websites out there. As you and I have parlayed through life together, I
right,
would be, hey, June, maybe I need to go to PubMed or whichever. I mean, there's a lot of information. You can Google just about any and everything.
hmm,
So there's really no excuses at all, or it's no time to be lazy. There's a lot of information at our fingertips. Now, I'm not saying all of it is a fact check, 100% accuracy, but there's information that we can empower ourselves to go out there and seek and find. As
right.
you were telling your story, I was thinking about your resources, June. So, what were some of your resources that you pulled together during your time? And was your family involved? Did your friends help you? What did that look like?
Well, I had some of my friends tell me when I told them that no, I was going to have a double mastectomy, and they were like, "No, that's going to even be longer. Yeah, you don't need to have that." And so, resources, leaning, not so more leaning on them, but letting them, express their feelings and their opinions, listening to them and seeing what they had to say, along with the American Cancer Society, my resources, and pulling from women that had the same breast cancer I had in the same stage, which was very, enlightening. And it made me come to an educated decision that I was comfortable with because I was able to heal physically and mentally. And I knew when I woke up after that 8-hour surgery, I was in control. And see, that's the main thing. You as a patient navigator, you actually you break down the barriers that patients may have regarding treatment, but at the same time you are empowering the patients that have cancer to say, look, you, even though the doctors know all the medical information, it's up to you to understand it. Because when you understand what's going on, and you'll know what is comfortable for you.
That's good, June. I want to dive into, as we have some remaining minutes, we have a good bit of time left. I would like for you to educate, as I know you, the importance of health in terms of eating food, which
Mhm.
I know plays an integral role when you
Yes.
have a disease such as this. So, can you talk a little bit about, because I know you, I want you to tell the audience, my family and friends who are watching, the importance of health and what you put in your mouth directly affects your
Yeah,
health.
we eat a lot of things, processed foods, chemically that are sprayed, and we have to be very careful, especially if we have a family history of cancer. I was diagnosed with cancer that they found when I went for my colonoscopy in 2017. for a routine colonoscopy, and I was 10 years cancer survived from my breast in January of 2017. And then in October 2017, I went and had a colonoscopy. So I wasn't surprised that they found polyps, but um, the doctor called me a week later and she says, you know, you have one of the polyps was fine and the other polyp was cancer. I said, you gotta be kidding. On my 10th year anniversary. I said, you gotta be kidding. So she's like, no. She said, but we got it all. And I said, okay. So I said, you know what? Something has to be done because, you know, I felt fine, same way I felt when I went for my mammogram. You know, I didn't have any problems, no sign of being sick or cancer, no sign of cancer being in a polyp. So I said, I have a sneaky body. That's what I tell my husband. I said, you know, my body is sneaky. I said, because it doesn't really give me any signs. I don't take any medication. I've never taken any medication after the cancer, and I've never taken any medication before the cancer. So I went to an all natural doctor, and I told her, and I said, you know what? I said, I'm, you know, worried here. I said, because every time I go, it seems like for a preventative test, you know, they come up with cancer. But I wouldn't have known if I didn't go. So she said, you know what? I want you to stop eating meat. So I said, yeah. And I wasn't a big meat eater anyway. And I ate mainly fish and chicken. So I said, okay, I can do that and just do seafood. So I've been doing that since 2017. So eating a lot of, you know, vegetables, you know, fruits, grains, you know, nuts, and seafood. And I'm trying to cut down on the seafood now. And the only problem that I have now is exercising. So, you know, I've lost, during the pandemic, I lost about 30 pounds, which was great. So, you know, I want to, you know, lose a little bit more. So, but other than that, you know, that's just how it goes. You know, you have to eat. You eat to live. Okay. Think about it. Whatever you put in your body, is that going to be nutritious for you? Are you going to get energy? Are you going to get fuel from that? So that's every time you pick up something, you're like, you have to think, is this nutritious? You know, is this going to give me what I need? And you know, Linda, me and you, we're up all hours of the night. We have this going on. We have a business. We work full time. So we have to, when we eat, we have to make sure we eat carrots to keep our mind going, or greens, you know, to keep us regulated and just for energy. So that's my main, I would say, goal that I have to continue is to eat to live. And we need to really incorporate more green
Right.
vegetables and grains over meat.
That's important. So, you know, Bella likes to pull back, right, a little bit, so I can do a stop, learn, and study at this point. That's really important, June, because I honestly, I'm going to be transparent. I did not eat to live, right? It's the
Right.
difference. I lived to eat, and I ate just about everything under the sun, which it's a big no-no, rather, because we all age, and in the aging process you have to be extremely careful what goes in
Right.
your body. Your metabolism changes, therefore your diet needs to change, and exercise is not a big part, but it's definitely a part. I've got a couple of questions, and hey, audience, chime on in, because I really want you to be able to be, you know, transparent with June. We've got some message from Ashley. As you can see,
There's my
Ashley.
goddaughter. Hi,
Yeah, she's like, great.
Ashley.
I mean, this is important. I mean, this is about starting the conversation, June, and continue because I still have women who don't want to talk about breast cancer,
Oh
right?
yeah.
And we've got to dispel these myths and we've got to at least begin talking about it, being sincere about it. We've got
Thank
another,
you.
yes, absolutely. Please bring on, chime on and show June some love and ask her some questions because this is a brave, brave woman. I know several of my friends who, be it of their own emission, you have to respect, right? How
Mm-hmm.
they feel and what they're going through and how they want to manage your life. But we've got to talk about it. I just want to
Mm-hmm.
share a few minutes with you, June, before I ask you a couple of more questions. You know, I'm very passionate, as you well know, June. We've done a lot of events together, a
Mm-hmm.
lot of cancer drives with the Women of Distinction. We've done that many, many years at the Greenbrier
Right.
Law with the health fair,
Yes.
other initiatives
Yes.
at your church, St. Philip's. Shout out to St. Philip's for you
Yes.
leading
St.
that effort.
Philip's, the health ministry.
It's important, right? And we need to talk more about it because I'm going to let the audience know my testimony. I was devastated when my mother told the family, and it was her choice, her body, June. She knew she had breast cancer. That was old school, and she refused to tell her family till the end.
Yeah.
That's
And
where my passion and drive is. I just couldn't understand how could someone in their fourth stage
mm-hmm.
endure that kind of pain. But I've learned from you too, June. It's your own body. It's your own right. You do what you will, whether you like it or not.
Exactly.
Right?
That's true. That's true. And we also have to watch the area that we live in too. Because in my hometown of Somerville, New Jersey, if you go down my street, it seems like every household had cancer.
Mm.
And my best friend, she's a cancer survivor. My two girlfriends in New Jersey, and then I had one girlfriend, God bless her. She didn't make it, and it's just so odd that I can think of five of us, one, two, three, four, five of us that had breast cancer, and we were all within 2 blocks of one another.
June, I'm going to say this. I'm glad we're bringing this up. These are topics, audience, for you all just to make note and just, you know what? Start
Mm-hmm.
where you are. I love this family. I love my Bella family, and I'm very passionate. Start tonight just with questions because you know what? I'm from Baltimore, Maryland. And June, you know, I do a lot of research.
Yes.
And Maryland
Mhm.
is one of the highest states, top five, that has extremely high propensity for cancer throughout the entire state, whether it be
Mhm.
breast cancer, whether it be colon cancer. And I too have a long history of cancer from the male side of my family, colon cancer,
Okay. Mm-hmm.
right? A lot of colon cancer in my family and obviously breast cancer. But Maryland is one of the states, June, and I learned that working at the CDC as I worked in the breast cancer division for those 2 years, doing all those researches and studies and reading those white papers that, my
Right.
God. And I was like, well, what? And they said that something has to do with the atmosphere and the way we live as a
That's true.
state in
Yep.
Maryland.
Mm-hmm. That's true.
It blew my mind, but these are things we have to really, right, shape, understand,
That's
and
true.
deal with it head on. So, June, let me ask you a few more questions as we're wrapping up.
Mm-hmm.
I know we talked about books, and I know I want you to share with the audience some of your philanthropy work in the community as it relates to breast cancer. And then I want to find out what are you doing now, currently in your future. But let's wrap up this portion of the breast cancer. I know you do a
Mm-hmm.
lot of work in the community, and maybe
Yes.
someone needs to find you in terms of that. How would they get in touch with you, and just share a little bit more about that?
Well, I live and breathe public health. I think the greatest job that I've ever had was to work at Grady. Grady atmosphere and my people, my patients at Grady, I just love it. And that's where I fell in love with public health. I started with a research study that my supervisor had told me to go ahead, and she said, "You're going to school for respiratory public health. Can you just take it over?" And Catherine Power, she's still there. Hi, Miss Power. Grady Main Outpatient Pharmacy, and went into that, did that study, fell in love with public health. Since then, went to school, got my master's degree in public health. I am the co-chair of the Reentry Connection. And the Reentry Connection, we help female ex-offenders get back into society. So we help them with a Dress for Success. We help them, with daycare for their children, housing, any work clothes, any issues that they may have. And that organization is actually founded by Sandra Enos. And she was my mentor. Sandra Smith now. She was my mentor in public health. So we've been together for 10 years now, actually doing that. And then I am with the American Public Health Association. And I actually sit on I don't sit on the board, but we talk about health information technology with Dr. Japhis Doswell. I met him, and I'll talk to you later about him because he's one of my business partners. And Aid Atlanta. I did my internship at Aid Atlanta, and Aid Atlanta is the Southeast's largest resource center for HIV/AIDS. And I was a medical case manager there doing my internship. So I had clients, which we call them, that were incarcerated at DeKalb County Jail, along with clients who were also out of jail. So that's when I got my, I would say, training in working with state, local, and federal authorities regarding public health, making discharge plans for my clients so that they would be fully equipped once they left the jail, that they would have at least 30 days worth of medication until they can get medication set up outside, which I would go ahead and do that. Get them a driver's license, ID, anything that they would need, housing. So that was very rewarding. And I would say, and can't forget my church. St. Philip Health Ministry. And St. Philip Health Ministry is, is like my little baby. When I think of, Dr. Kathy Hogan, she went ahead and at the time I wasn't working. And that's when I got started in, she says, "June, why don't you go ahead and take over the health fair?" And everybody said, "Oh, we'll help you." I'm like, I don't know how to do this. So I enjoyed it. So we got vendors that year, and I was able to really work it and really enjoyed it. And that also is a component that goes along with Pastor George Moore, who built that church. And he has gone on, and we do a stroke walk in his name every year. So we keep that going, and the stroke walk along with the wellness festival is combined together. So there are just a few things that I do, and not to mention.
Just a few. I mean, June, you're being so modest. But let me ask you this, not to mention, as we're segueing into the last few minutes, I want to find out because I know you very well, June, and we're always working up in the midnight oil. Boring. What are you working on now? So as God sees it, and we know we believe in our God who has
Mhm.
sustained your life, and you are a very busy person and very passionate. What are you doing now since you transitioned into staying well, beating this thing called breast cancer, being a breast cancer survivor? What's going on with you in your life now, health wise? What are you doing? Projects.
Well, projects, I started a company in 2019, and it's called Applications Operation LLC. And with that company, we are going to, it's a technology company that's going to address different chronic diseases through applications, apps. So right now, we are having an app built, and we are addressing the opioid epidemic. So, we're getting information, we're doing research studies. The app would signal someone having an opioid um, overdose, someone that's having an opioid overdose. The community health workers or the bystanders would go ahead and administer Narcan, naloxone, to them. And at the same time, 911 would be called, and they would be trained. These individuals would be trained. So we are actually working on that. We have a grant that is um, in progress with NIH and a few other, and Morgan State University. We partnered with, and the University of Missouri. And we have backing by Senator Hank Johnson, which I'm happy about, and along with Senator David Scott. So, I was up last night doing a lightning talk. So, constantly submitting in that. So, I just don't know. I just wake up in the morning or in the middle of the night and just jot things down. So, God is just, blessing me with ideas. And I think that I want to go this way, but He's pushing me that way. But, my prayer every day since I've been a cancer survivor is let me touch someone today because you left me here.
Wow. June, hey, listen, I don't even want to get teared up. That is absolutely, I know, heartfelt from the heart. I really hope the audience is listening. And if you want to chime in with your comments, please do show some love to June. This is a very intimate, personal, yet public testimony. Y'all know out there, everybody can't do this. Everybody can't do what? Be transparent, right? Keep
Yeah,
it
that's true.
100 and share what's going
That's true.
on. We've got so many barriers that we will, as a people,
Right,
collectively overcome. But it starts at one. I always say I try to be positive, June, every day. And I
right.
know one person can make a difference in this whole entire world. I'm going
That's
to
true.
just have that on my tombstone. And I mean that from my heart. We're
Right,
born on this earth. I personally feel we're born with purpose and goals. And we're here to help somebody. As we help somebody, others will come back and help us. I always like to end the segment, June, because this is rich and full. I hope the audience understood it, but more importantly, I hope the audience appreciated it because we have to start talking. We come to the table a lot, but we don't talk about it.
Oh no.
And it's more than just the Susan B. Komen every year. Put your pink on, keeping it real,
That's
running
true.
breast
That's
cancer. It's
true.
more than that. And there's people working hard in the healthcare industry. I know, I see it firsthand. I see it in you, my sister, my queen friend June. It takes a lot of grace, right? Mercy, and just hope to keep on moving regardless,
Right.
right? Because
Mhm.
people see
That's true.
things, life as a death sentence. It is not. As long as we're
No,
here and got breath in our body, we have an opportunity to do something. But more
that's
importantly, for
true.
somebody else, June, I want you to close out with where can people get in touch with you if you want them to share. More importantly, leave imparting words. I always ask my guests to leave
Okay.
because we know I didn't touch on it, but very briefly, we do know that we're going through this pandemic as we know it.
Right.
A lot of people are down, depressed, suicidal, not sure what they want to do, whether they've lost their jobs, whether it's a financial scenario, whether it's something with family,
Hmm.
whatever. We all are going through, but I choose to look at the water glass half full. I choose to say, you know what? Get out of my own way and do something for somebody else. So, June, I'm a big positivity person. Can you please leave some parting words? But more importantly, if you want anyone to get in touch with you, if you have any social medias, do you want to share that so people can follow you?
Yes. Okay. I'm going to leave everyone with this, and I love Donald Lawrence, and this is in his song "Speak Life." Speak life, live. You are the head and not the tail. You will prevail. Don't give up the fight for your life. You should live. You shall live and not die. Just believe. Speak life.